Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Be fan theory sparks buzz. Could Ridge be the one facing a health crisis instead of Eric? The Forresters will be rallying around a loved one. The Forresters are about to be hit with another health scare on The Bold and the Beautiful. While many are concerned about the well-being of their beloved patriarch Eric, it's another family member they should be worried about. The buzz about Eric's retirement has sparked concerns about his health. Eric and Ridge are feuding over Forrester creations again. Recent dialogue has fans concerned about Ridge. Another Forrester family feud is brewing. And again, it's Eric, John McCook, and Ridge, Torsten K. Ridge and Brooke, Catherine Kelly Lang, feel it's time for Eric to retire and leave the running of Forrester creations to them. However, the FC founder has made it clear that he's not going anywhere. Eric and Ridge's latest battle is reminiscent of their 2023 feud, during which Eric thought he was dying. With recent spoilers saying the Forresters become concerned about Eric's health, speculation is that the family patriarch faces another medical crisis. However, a fan theory on Reddit suggests a twist in which Ridge is the one who suffers the health crisis. The theory points out recent dialogue that suggests trouble for Ridge. During a heartfelt talk with Ridge, he promised to love Brooke until his dying breath. Then Brooke mentioned Ridge has been stressed about work, and she feared he's becoming burnout. Many fans seem to agree that something significant will happen to Ridge because of recent events. The dying breath remark struck me as a bellwether, wrote one viewer. Ridge could have a health crisis and not die, but if he were to die, I do wonder who would be next up for Brooke, one fan wrote. Ridge has a lot on his plate with his duties as co-CEO and couture designer. When Eric offered to help, Ridge rejected the offer, which reignited the father-son feud. Aside from work and arguing with his dad, Ridge is also fighting with Bill, Don Diamant. Bill, who's trying to woo Katie, Heather Tom, away from FC to Spencer Publications, is angering Ridge. The feud with Bill and his other added stress isn't good for Ridge. If he's not careful, then he might end up in the hospital with a heart attack or another illness. Having Ridge be the one who's sick would be a shocking twist. Plus, it would open the potential for emotional storytelling as the Forresters gather by his bedside. Will Brooke have to say a final goodbye to her destiny? Will one of the Forresters step up to help Ridge? These are many of the questions that will be asked if Ridge has a medical crisis. The Bold and the Beautiful fandom rarely sit still, but every so often a theory erupts across social media that sends shockwaves through Forrester Nation. The latest? A whisper growing louder by the hour. What if the man heading toward a devastating health crisis isn't Eric Forrester at all, but his son Ridge? It's the kind of speculation that makes long-time viewers sit up straight, because suddenly the emotional puzzle pieces of recent episodes look different when rearranged. Eric's mysterious symptoms as bouts of fatigue and the family's growing concern have all pointed toward a heartbreaking medical twist. But some fans aren't convinced that things are as straightforward as they appear. And as B&B has proven time and time again, nothing is ever quite what it seems. The theory gained traction after observant viewers noticed subtle shifts in Ridge's behavior. For weeks now, Ridge has been on an emotional razor's edge, lashing out, snapping over small frustrations, and pushing himself with an almost frantic determination to outdo his father at every turn. On its own, that could simply be classic Ridge, competitive, proud, and hot-tempered. But when coupled with his sudden moments of quiet discomfort, unexplained pauses, and a noticeable heaviness in his expression, fans began questioning whether the show is planting seeds for a different kind of reveal. What if Ridge isn't just stressed? What if he's sick? This wouldn't be the first time B&B has used a misdirect to mask a bigger twist. Classic soap writing thrives on sleight of hand, and what better emotional swerve than having the audience focused on Eric's condition while Ridge secretly battles one of his own. It would throw the entire Forrester dynamic into chaos, flipping expectations on their head and forcing characters into unfamiliar roles. Imagine Brooke discovering Ridge has been hiding symptoms. Their relationship, already fragile and fraught after years of turbulence, could be tested in a new and heartbreaking way. Brooke, who has stood beside Ridge through countless crises, could find herself thrust into a caretaker role, one she isn't emotionally ready for after believing Eric was the one in danger. Meanwhile, Thomas and Steffi would be blindsided. Thomas, fresh off his own redemption arc, maybe shaken by the thought of losing the father he's only recently repaired his relationship with. Steffi, who likes to believe she can hold the entire Forrester world together through sheer force of will, might crumble at the idea that the strongest man she knows is vulnerable. The Forrester siblings, often divided, could be pulled into an unbreakable unity as they try to support Ridge. And then there's Eric. What would it do to the iconic patriarch to learn that while he was fearing the worst for himself, Ridge was the one quietly faltering? Their dynamic has always been layered with pride, rivalry, forgiveness, and deep love. Eric could be thrust into a new role, not as the one being protected, but as the one offering protection. A reversal like that would open the door for some powerhouse scenes, the kind that soaps strive for, raw, emotional, multi-generational, and steeped in history. The theory also reflects an undercurrent in recent storytelling. Eric's health storyline has been highly emotional, but there's a lingering sense among some fans that it arrived too quickly and too suddenly, without the typical slow burn build-up the show uses for major medical arcs. Meanwhile, Ridge has been wound tighter than ever, and his intensity has carried a different flavor than usual. Quieter moments of introspection that feel out of place for the often swaggering dressmaker. What if those moments were hints? Of course, it's also possible that viewers are seeing patterns the writers never intended. Soap fans excel at detective work, often reading between lines that may or may not exist, crafting full-blown theories out of fleeting expressions or cryptic dialogue. But this particular theory has captured attention because it doesn't feel entirely far-fetched. In a show built on twists, secrets, and emotional gut punches, a Ridge-centered health crisis could be the kind of high-stakes drama the producers would embrace. Another angle fueling speculation is the narrative potential. While Eric's possible illness would devastate fans, he is, after all, the heart and foundation of the Forrester legacy. The emotional ripple effect on the canvas would be entirely different if Ridge were the one in danger. Ridge stepping into a vulnerable space would shake up the dynamics between every major character. Brooke, Taylor, Steffi, Thomas, RJ, and even characters on the periphery like Bill, who has always bristled against Ridge, but still understands the weight he carries for those around him. Even Sheila could be pulled into the orbit.